Hello everyone, my name is Eric Leichtenschlag from the AdMob SDK Developer Relations team here at Google, and today I'm here with AdMob SDK top contributors and Google developer experts, William Ferguson and Kunal Verma. How are you guys doing today? Great to have you.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. Good to be here.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. I'm doing good.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. So today we're here to talk with our top contributors about how they built a successful app business using AdMob, as well as tips and tricks for how you all, the listeners, can do the same. So my first question for you, William, is how did you get started doing mobile app development?
Yeah, well, I saw where the mobile space was going pretty early on and started developing in Android early mid-2010.
Okay.
Java was a good match for me, and Android piqued my interest. So I always wanted to have my own business, and looked to me that Android had really lowered the barriers to entry for me to be able to build something, get it out there, and get some revenue coming back. So I had a good idea for a word game.
Okay.
I got a word puzzle called Lexathon, and it uses the processing power of the device to go and generate tricky puzzles for the players to play. And it's well received, 450,000 downloads and 4.5 stars rating. But when I was building it all, I was really thinking early on about monetization options.
Absolutely.
So I decided early on that a paid download was probably going to be a bit of a roadblock for users, especially for an unknown developer.
Right.
Might be okay for Rovio or someone like that, but I didn't have that kind of clout. In-app payments hadn't happened yet, so advertising seemed like a really good approach. And it's been a really good fit. It's motivated me to retain my current users as well as attract new ones. And the more I engage them, the greater my revenue is. So it's a win-win all around.
Absolutely. So advertising is great because you can provide your app for free and still make money, so there's no barrier to entry, so you can keep getting users. You'd probably have a lot less users if you had a paid app. And as far as monetization, as you get more users, you serve more ads, and so your app revenue just increases with your users, so it's a great option. Kunal, can you tell us how you got into mobile app development?
Yeah, so when I was in my high school days, I was so much interested into open source mobile operating systems like Linux, ZX phones from Motorola, and I was there creating skins for them, modifying their resources. So later on, when I moved to college, there was Android out, and I got my first Android phone in my hand. So I just saw all the good things in that and all the creative stuff. And after the first 6 months of usage, I got my first app created through the Google Eclipse usage, and then I was out in the Play Store, selling it for free. So for the first few months, for the first 2 months, I sold it for free in the Play Store. Then later on, moved to monetization using different ad networks.
Okay, so you did it a little bit differently. You just put your app out there for free, started getting users, and then you're like, hey, I have a lot of users. How can I monetize this? And sounds like you turned to advertising. What made you choose AdMob?
Yeah, so it was like when I was before that before I got into mobile, I was into web development, and there I used AdSense so the AdSense ads were really good at that time. They were personalized, they were search based, and it got me a pretty good revenue at that time. So that got me into both products were from Google, so I got into using AdMob for the same in my mobile. So the space got utilized pretty well, and that's how I got into AdMob usage.
Okay, so you had trusted AdSense, and it sounds like you looked at AdMob after it was acquired by Google, and you kind of trusted Google, and so that's what brought you to AdMob.
Yeah.
Awesome. My next question is, what does your AdMob setup look like as far as what kind of ad networks are you serving? Are you using mediation or house ads? Kunal, can you tell me a bit about how you're using AdMob?
Yeah, so I'm using mediation, but with only house ads. I'm not using any other network with mediation, as I get pretty good results with AdMob. So I'm advertising other of my apps through mediation using house ads, and it has done me a pretty good thing because through mediation we can provide a lot of sortage. So the thing is that we can do it through eCPM based, and I can provide house ads later on, but first the main ads. So that is the thing. I don't lose anything, and still I get an advertising of my own apps.
Okay, great. Just for those who aren't aware, mediation is a way to serve ads from multiple ad networks. If you want to serve different networks or serving different ad values are worth more, then you can serve to them first and backfill with ads if those requests don't turn into impressions, if they can't fill. And so in Kunal's case, it sounds like he's not using any other ad networks other than AdMob. He's just backfilling any requests that AdMob can't serve with house ads. And that's a great way to cross-promote your other apps if you have multiple apps out there. You get some free impressions to have users click on those ads, house ads, and potentially download some of your other apps, and you can get more users that way. William, can you tell us about how you're using AdMob if you're using mediation or house ads?
Yeah, sure. I am using mediation. I've got several networks in my mediation list.
Okay.
In order to maximize revenue and provide a little bit of a safety net in case one of the networks has any kind of a problem. I can easily just switch it out on the server. I'm also making use of the new ECPM floor provided by AdMob. So that's at the head of my mediation list at the moment, and that's really helped to maximize my revenue.
Right. So
when I first started, I was just going to say, when I first started, I wasn't using mediation. Mediation hadn't come out yet. I was using AdMob directly, but when mediation did roll out, it was a simple matter to switch over. It took all of 10 minutes, changed the mediation, my publisher ID over to mediation ID, added in a few libraries, and it just up and worked. It's good.
Right. So switching from just AdMob to mediation is really simple. In your code, it's just switching out your publisher ID with a mediation placement ID. And what's great with using mediation is that you control all of your traffic server side. So you're not locked in with AdMob and you have to release a new app if something happens and you want to try out a different network. You just plug in multiple networks into your app, and then if you ever want to change your allocation, you can change that server side, and instantly your users see the new configuration. As far as the ECPM floor, that's a great way to kind of get a premium ad for AdMob. So ECPM floor is a separate network, essentially, where you go to AdMob and say, only give me an ad if it's worth this much ECPM. And if AdMob can fill it, that's great. And if not, then it'll not fill the request, and you can go to other networks. And if none of the networks can fill, you can come back to AdMob and say, give me any ad. So it's great to get, you can try to get a premium ad worth more from AdMob. Are you using any custom events, William?
Yeah, I've created a couple.
Okay.
It's a really flexible framework, so you can do quite a lot with it. I'm sure we've only sort of touched the sides. I've got one where I'm using it to serve interstitial ads from another ad network, and now I can go and include interstitials from networks that are current AdMob partners as well. So I'll get an even better ECPM, which is just fantastic.
Right.
And I've created a couple to get around some of the problems that some of the networks had with the Jelly Bean release. Again, I'm moving faster than a lot of the libraries that I integrate with. So this was a way for me to be able to handle it all myself and move on at a good rate of iteration.
Right. So with AdMob mediation, we have a lot of partners who develop their own adapters. And so as a developer, you can just plug in their libraries and adapters and integrate with those networks. But for other networks that we don't support directly, you can do something called a custom event, which William is using, where you can write your own implementation for integration with that network and still control your traffic server side just as a first-class network. So it sounds like William's taken advantage of that opportunity. Another common question that we've had from users is, where do you place your ad view in your app to get the most revenue or maybe the best CTR? What have you noticed is the best placement for you guys? William, can you start?
Yeah, I'm using a banner ad at the bottom of the main activity of my ad. It's really the only sane or sensible place for me in that app in particular. And so I haven't really experimented too much elsewhere. For the interstitial ads that I show, I'm showing them at the end of a game after showing the score, and I only show them a certain percentage of this time just to keep things fresh so that the user doesn't come to sort of anticipate the ad, as it were, and use it as and try to skip past it. And it, it makes it so that it's not a real pain in them, pain for them. It's part of the game, as it were.
Yeah, that's good. As far as not serving an interstitial every time, so publishers don't get annoyed, and serving it at the end of the game so that they're not like waiting to play the game and then getting served with an ad before they start, because that's not a great user experience either. Kunal, can you tell us where you're placing your ad views in your app?
Yeah, so I'm placing my ad view at the bottom of my primary activity, because at top I'm having instructions on how to use the app using a flipper. So after 6 seconds, the instruction changes. That's why the best possible place for me to place the ads was the bottom only. Yeah, and I'm just using the primary activities for ad placement, and the secondary activities don't have any ad views. I don't think that having an ad for 2 seconds or 4 seconds is not a good idea. So just use the ad only in the main activity. Yeah.
Yeah, so it sounds like you're also placing at the bottom. At the top, there's kind of instructions and stuff. So guys, there's a common theme there. As far as like in which activities you place, so you bring up a really good point. You probably shouldn't put ads in activities or screens where users are only spending a few seconds of their time. That's hitting the network more, using more of the battery, and just really inflating your requests and impressions. And you're probably not going to get those clicks because users probably don't want to click an ad on your start screen or on your option screen. So it's important that you mainly put the ads in the activities where users spend most of their time. My next question for you, Kunal, is do you have any feature requests for AdMob or just the mobile advertising space in general? Like, where would you like to see it go?
Yeah, I do have a feature request of a clock in the AdMob console, which shows the real time on which the AdMob reporting works. So that would provide me a clear idea on how the day ends in AdMob and how the day ends as compared to our location. So it works on GMT, and here our location is GMT plus 5:30 hours. So if also it will be perfect if the reporting is done according to our location, and as an alternative it can be a clock at the bottom of the AdMob console. So yeah, reporting timing according to our location is a feature request from my side.
Yeah, that's a great request. As far as reporting, it's really important that users kind of get the best reporting and understand what the numbers mean. And if they make changes to their configuration, how that affects their revenue, and having reporting in local time zones is really important for that beginning of day and end of day, so you know exactly when you made a change and how it got affected. We're working on a new UI that will hopefully fix some of these issues. William, do you have any feature requests for AdMob or the mobile advertising space?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Kunal about the clearer reporting. And because I do so much work with the mediation, some better mediation reporting as well, particularly if I could get the revenue and ECPM figures for the other partners. And if you've got those, then with better figures, I'd love to be able to auto-mediate across the networks, shifting network priority based upon the recent stats. Kind of like a ECPM floor, but on steroids.
Steroids, absolutely. So yeah, so getting some of that ECPM data from other networks is tough from like the AdMob network standpoint. So today we kind of make you enter it manually and serve up your mediation configuration based on that. I think more of a longer term goal is to move towards something like real-time bidding, so that you have this space and you're making a request, and we want to serve you the ad. It can come from anywhere, kind of like how we do for AdSense, in such a way that give me the highest bidding ad and show that there, and I can get the most revenue in my app. So I think that's where the mobile advertising space is going to go, and we hope to get there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'd also like the server-side mediation to reduce the size of the app too, though, because then I'm not going to need to include the libraries for all the other adapters, right?
Absolutely. So yeah, something like real-time bidding would be done server-side. The way it's done today, everybody kind of had an SDK out there, client-side, and so it was easy to integrate mediation, just put in a couple SDKs and kind of serve to those different SDKs in your app. I think people were starting to do that, kind of rolling their own solution prior to having an ad network offer a mediation solution in the first place. That was kind of a good first step, but it's kind of not where the mobile advertising space, it doesn't end here. There's much more we can do in that area. So my last question for you guys, and William, can you start, is what recommendations would you have for other app developers who are trying to grow their app business? Maybe both a beginner who's starting to develop and a more advanced user who's got some users and wants to grow their app business more.
Yeah, sure. I wish someone had given some of this to me a few years ago. Release early, release often. Don't be afraid to release. Listen to your users. If a lot of them start complaining about something, then there's something that you really need to focus upon. Maybe it's a legitimate problem that you should fix, or maybe you just haven't explained yourself well enough in your documentation or in the user interface inside your application. Fixing a few little things like that can really improve your ratings on Google Play. And then once you've taken care of the basic things, think about how you can spread the word of your app. Use social media, have it integrated into your app. It's very easy to do. Give your users plenty of options about how they can rate your app on Google Play, how they can tell their friends about it through whatever means, social means is most appropriate to your app and most available to your users. What they want, let them choose. Don't force something upon them.
Yeah, so you bring up some great points. Releasing early allows you to get your app out there early and start getting those users, because it takes time to get users. And by updating your app, it keeps the users active. And also listening to them when they have complaints about bugs or new feature requests. The user's never really wrong. If they want something and you want them to continue using your app, you kind of have to build that. So you bring up good points.
I actually found...
I'm sorry, yeah?
Yeah, I actually found that the direction of my app changed quite a bit based upon user feedback. And if I'd gone entirely the way that I thought that the app should have gone, it wouldn't have been as good as an app as what it's become, mainly because I've listened to what the users wanted and let them guide me.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, follow your users. That's some great advice. Kunal, do you have any recommendations for both beginning and advanced app developers?
Yeah, for the beginner developers who are just going to release their app and are very confident on their work, they can just go on advertising their app through AdMob. It's a lot of features are provided by AdMob, like image ads. You can advertise through image ads as well as the same the same ad view which AdMob provides for other ads. And for the more advanced users, they can just update their app's visible changes all the time, so that the active users always have an advantage having your app. So they don't go with uninstalling your app, and they just keep it increasing your retention rate a lot. This would increase a lot of usage activity.
Yes, it sounds like you have a little bit of a different approach. When you release your app, if you're confident about it, you can also advertise your app on AdMob or some mobile network, such that you can kind of increase your user base really fast and maybe even get high ratings in the Play Store and become one of the popular apps and get some more organic downloads that way. And then also releasing updates, visually appealing updates, or stuff that users can see and realize, such that it also keeps them interested. So it sounds like both you guys have great recommendations that have a common theme of getting and maintaining your users, because that's what you need to do to keep your number of requests and ad revenue going. Well, that's all I have for you guys. Thank you so much for joining today and telling us all about AdMob and how you made a successful app business.
No problem. Nice to talk to you, Eric.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you want to hear any more from these guys or from myself, if you have any other questions, you can find these guys on our Google AdMob Ads SDK Google group. Well, they'll be happy to answer your questions. Yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for watching.